So here's my fletching setup. This is a Bitzenberger Jig. It's pretty basic, but they work really good. I've set a lot of these up in my time in archery. So I like to always use a right wing. It's just, you know, a right helical is gonna do the job. So this is a clamp. You can see it's magnetic. Goes on there. Right here is the fletching configurations. So 120 degrees is the top one. That would be a 3 fletch, so every 120 degrees. Then you have a 90, which is a 4 fletch, and then a 75, 105 on the bottom here. That's a 4 fletch. That'll make it, so there's 90, and that would make it like that. So I have these two bottom ones unscrewed. My 120 screwed in a little bit because I like to do a 3 fletch. So these are all a little bit different. I've set up a lot of these Bitzenberger jigs, but I have a somewhat 2 to 3 degree helical. I haven't measured the exact amount, but that's typically a good measurement there. So you can see the plate where it's set. This is just barely past flush here. Every jig's a little bit different though, but that would get you pretty close. So whenever I'm fletching, you can see I have my wrapped arrows here. I like to look for the burr on the knock. Most knocks have that little burr to help you identify the orientation. I have my jig with this flat spot up, and then as you can see in there, there's a spot that your knock will go in. So you just place your knock in there. This will pop into place. Mine's super stiff, but you pop it into place, you can hear it click. And then I'm gonna take my clamp, and with my clamp, see if I can zoom in. I like to do it on the second mark. So when I put this in, you just put it in like that. I push it all the way down at first. Line the back of the feather to that second mark, and then I just very slightly pull the feather out, just like that. So whenever I go down and push down on it, it'll add a little pressure there, and it seems to work really good. So now what I do is I take my glue, which this is AE Max Bond glue. It's just a regular super glue. Probably need to get more of it. What I'm gonna do is just put an even line all the way down. Super simple. It's kind of flowing pretty slow. Let's see. I always put probably a little too much, but it's fine. All right, so now that I have that even amount, go back to my jig, and then you have that overlap on the wrap. I try not to fletch on that, so I might turn my knock a little bit, try to miss it with the feather. I always start with the back like this, place the back down, push it down, and then just rock it forward. And that's gonna put it at a good helical there. The wrap helps with adhesion too, so that's kind of why I use a wrap, and it's easier to see your arrow. So there's a little bit extra here. I like to wipe that with a Q-tip. Seems to add a little more adhesion to it too. It's just adding it on that gap. When you're setting your jig up, it's good to push your feather all the way down and then kind of see if you could see light through it, like between the wrap and the base of the quill of the feather. Typically, if your jig isn't set right, you can see light through it, and you might have to adjust just barely. So when I'm fletching feathers, I like to give it plenty of time because feathers are pretty expensive, and if you rush it, it might not be completely dry, and it'll come up, and then it's basically way more difficult to get it to stick. So I kind of wait 1 or 2 minutes. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this open like that and then raise it off. And then I'll run my finger through it. If you see the quill move at all, then it's probably not dry. So that one's great. Then you're just going to turn this, which my jig is super stiff because it's wore out, I think, I don't really know. And then you can hear it pop. Right there. See how I went past it and then it came back, pops into place. good to go. So that's gonna put it at the next 120 degrees. So once again, put the feather in, line up the back with the second mark, pull it out just barely. Put it on the magnet, and then it's gonna slide all the way down. That's another important note. It'll hit the base of this, and then do the back, and then rock it forward. You can wipe the extra here, and then wipe the extra here. There's that ridge right here. I've seen before when I teach people how to fletch, that they put the back of this right there. I don't know, but you need to put that all the way on this upper ridge, all the way down, so that it seats all the way down. All right, so there's the third one. Good there. So to finish this off, I like to tip and tail. So I'm just gonna add a small drop of glue here and on the back for each feather. That way, if you miss, it's not gonna get under the feather and rip it off. Or if you shoot the back of the feather. Just like that, and then just let it dry, and that one will be ready to be inserted. All right, so I literally just got my inserts, which was perfect. So these are the iron wheel inserts. They're for a 204 inner diameter shaft, like the 5mm Easton Axis. These are the 100 grain version. You can see how long they are, which is awesome. Standard 832 thread size, so I'll use standard threaded broadheads. And these are made out of hardened stainless steel, so they're gonna be super durable, especially on harder hits, as opposed to aluminum or brass. So these are a great option. There's a bunch of different weights you can get, so that's why I like using these. And then there's the SKU number and all that information if you're looking for these. All right, so here are the supplies to glue in hit inserts. I have my inserts. These are prepped isopropyl alcohols just to clean them. Arrow shafts that are fletched. I like to insert them when they're fletched so that whenever they're dry, they'll be ready to go. Because this Easton epoxy right here is 24-hour cure time, so there's that. So the shafts, I square the ends after I cut them using my G5 ASD. And then I'm gonna do bore brush in here to scratch it up, and then isopropyl alcohol with a Q-tip, and then I'm gonna use a dry Q-tip to make sure this is absolutely dry before I start gluing. So it's important, the ones that are not inserted, you put them separately by themselves, and then as I insert these, I'm gonna lay them flat where they're completely flat, and then they'll dry on their own. You do not want to double insert an arrow because that is tragic and an expensive mess up. So that should be everything there. This is to wipe the excess away, and then this is my stirring stick, which is just a Q-tip that I cut off the end. You don't want to contaminate the epoxy with anything, so this should be fine. A toothpick is probably the best. And then this is my hit tool. That's gonna put the inserts at the correct depth. This one's not reusable. I really need to get a reusable one, but this will work for now. And then another thing, I'm only doing 5 of my arrows because my 6th one, it still is hot melted, and I want to be able to shoot it tonight because these won't be ready until tomorrow. So now I'll get started on that process. All right, so to get started, I'm going to open this. So I like to dump the epoxy on this. Pretty much anything will work. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave whatever extra I have on this so that I can make sure it hardened up correctly. So you can see this is 2-part epoxy. I like to push all the epoxy down. And then you're gonna cut this corner and then completely dump out all of them. You can see it's 2 different colors. So there's that. Then I'm gonna take my stirring stick and mix this up until it's a cream color. So this has, I think it's a working time of 90 minutes. It says on the package, but I don't remember. So it's very slow drying, and then it's fully cured at 24 hours. So just pay attention. So about 12 o'clock tomorrow, I'll be able to shoot these and they'll be good. So that's stirred good. You can see it's the color of it. Next, I need to remove all my knocks so that you don't have like a pressure inside the arrow shaft. All right, so knocks are removed. Shaft is clean, all that. So what I'm gonna do, these are cleaned as well. I'm gonna grab it by the threads, and make sure you always grab it from the threads. These aren't hollow either, so it's a solid piece. I don't like to get epoxy on the back of this, so you're gonna put it on the back end of this, just like that. Doesn't take much at all. And then I like to twist the arrow as I go. You can see how it's putting it on there. I stop it to about right there. It's gonna drip. And then I take paper towel, double folded so you don't get on the table, and just wipe off the extra like that. Push it down, clean the end like that so you don't have epoxy on this end. And then you have to take your tool, and it's gonna go inside the insert. Here, zoom in. It's gonna go inside the insert, and then you're gonna push it until the shaft is flush with the tool, and then slowly turn your arrow and pull that tool out. So you wanna leave this flat, and then I'm just going to lay it flat right there. So that's the process there. Go through it again. So this is what it looks like. The insert will stop right there on those tabs, and that's how it's pushing it to the correct depth there. So let's back it up. I don't know if I got all that, to be honest. So a little bit there. Like that. Twist the arrow. About right there. Wipe off the extra. And then push it in, clean the end. Take your tool. Push it all the way. Twist the tool out because there's a little bit of suction there, so you have to be careful. Slowly take it out. If it pops, you know that's not good. And then lay it flat. Super simple. Right, so. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes. And what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna pick these up because you wanna keep them flat, but I'm gonna make the ends flush because these are still wet and they can still move. Make the ends flush like that, and then I'm gonna just take my flashlight, my phone, and check the depths of the insert. It's pretty easy to tell. And if any of them are off, you might as well just screw in a field tip and pull it out and just clean the inside of the shaft and redo it. That's not typically an issue, but if it were to happen for some weird reason, you're able to do that before it completely dries, because once it completely dries, it's done with. And I don't like to mess these up, so I might check it again in 30 minutes, but they shouldn't move as long as you keep them flat.